Welcome back to my second video on country soloing. Today we're going to be talking about all the other shapes we didn't cover in the first video. The first video covered all the shapes based on the A chord. We were working in the key of A. We're going to go through D and E today. So hopefully you've watched the first video already, because a lot of the same shapes that we used for A also apply to D and E, and the same extra note techniques we talked about the first time as well. So let's get stuck in. Right, so we've done A. One of the first shapes we done was, which was our major pentatonic, starting on our A root note, B, C sharp, E, F sharp, then A again. That shape is going to be used for D as well, but you'll see in a second, because of the tuning of the guitar, we have to change it very slightly, but it's based on the same kind of principles. So that first shape I started on A, open A string. If I want to do this over a D chord, I'm going to start this on the D string this time. So when I reach the B string, you can see the shape alters a wee bit. I had to then play 3rd fret on the B. If it was exactly the same shape, I would have played 2nd fret on the B, but that doesn't give us our D major pentatonic, which is what we're using here. D, E, F sharp, A, B. Then this is where the shape changes. To hit this next D, we have to play 3rd fret on the B string. We can apply the same thing to E. We now have to start on the 2nd fret on the D string, but it's a very similar shape again. So this time we're starting on our E note, 2nd fret, E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, E. So really D and E use the same shape. D obviously used an open string, but you imagine that open string moves 2 frets up, and we think about the interval spacing that we used. It's exactly the same for E. Another shape we done in A was starting here, 5th fret on the low E string. Just as we done when we were in our open position, I moved that A shape down 1 string, and that's how we got our D shape. Same thing here. I'm going to start this 5th fret on the A string this time. So with D, E, F sharp, A, B, D. Same thing as we done for D to E. We moved up 2 frets, was open D first, then we started in the 2nd fret, 5th fret D here, going to move that up to the 7th fret. So now we've got E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, E. I nearly forgot what I was doing there. If you remember some of the other shapes we covered on A, we had one there that started on the 7th fret of the D string. I can move that down 1 string again and get our D shape. Because of the tuning again, when we hit the B string, our shape has to change very slightly. To get our E, we move that shape down 2 frets, so we're moving from 7 on the G to 9 on the G. We're now on E, E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, back to E. One of the other shapes we done was starting down here in the 12th fret of the A string for A. Going to move down 1 string again to get the D chord. To get the E, we move down 2 frets from there, so 12 moves down to 14, same shape. What I suggest doing first is sitting down with all of those shapes and really getting them into your head, because you don't want to be thinking too much. If you're doing a solo, you don't want your head to kind of get in the way. You're trying to just let it flow pretty freely. The solo I did at the start of the video was actually quite hard because I don't really think about this too much anymore. I really had to keep it quite simple compared to something I would usually play. Trying to stick to these kind of pentatonic shapes was a bit tricky because I'm so used to kind of altering them very slightly with chromatic notes and other extra notes that we haven't yet talked about. We're going to talk about the flat 7 and the flat 3rd notes, which we talked about in the first video as well. If you remember, when it came to our A shape, we discovered that the flat 3rd note was here on the 3rd fret of the A string. There's our normal 3rd, flat 3rd. Even immediately you can hear it's become bluesy and a wee bit more interesting. Think about how we moved the A shape down 1 string. That shape, or that kind of visualization of how I visualize the flat 3rd right next to the normal 3rd applies to the D as well. So our normal D shape was, so I know already that my flat 3rd is right next to the 3rd, so 3rd on the D. Same thing for E. 3rd of E this time was happening on the 6th fret on the D. Same thing, I know the flat 3rd is right beside that note. There it is on the 5th fret. So what I've done there now, I played my A pentatonic with the added flat 3rd, D pentatonic with the added flat 3rd, E pentatonic with the added flat 3rd, back to the A pentatonic with the added flat 3rd. That's really hard to say over and over without making a mistake. So I think we'll do it again. Now that we've pieced all those chords together, hopefully you can hear when I move to each chord. So I'm moving from an A to a D to an E and back to an A. So my ear can hear when I move to the next chord with those little pentatonic shapes. Let's apply them further up the neck then. We'll go to this position here, 5th fret, starting on the 5th fret, low E string. To get to the D this time, we still drop down 1 string, so to get to the E, I moved up 2 frets from there, and then go back to the A. Let's do that a wee bit quicker together. Playing the exact same notes that we actually played down in this position, but I've just moved them slightly up. Let's do it in a different position here now. We'll start on the 7th fret on the D string this time, so our A chord. So hopefully you can see where I'm adding this flat 3rd in each time as well. It's between the 2nd and the 3rd. get to the D, drop down 1 string. To get to the E, I move 2 frets up from there, back to the A. A little bit quicker. Let's take it down to the 12th fret on the A string now. Dropping down 1 string to get to the D. Moving down 2 frets to get to the E. Back to the A. Now we've got quite high on the neck here, so let's see where we can go from here. So I know this note, 14th fret on the G string, is another A note. One of the shapes we learned before for our normal pentatonic was yeah, we can get that. We're kind of running out of space to get this D chord now though. I don't have enough frets. It's in there somewhere. If only I had an extra fret. So I think we've kind of covered all the flat thirds there now, I hope. And all 3 chords now as well. So we had our A chord, our D chord, our E chord, back to our A chord. Let's look at the flat 7 note now. So if you remember from before, our A chord, our flat 7 was 1 fret up from the 6th in our scale. First, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 1 fret up onto the 5th fret gives us our flat 7th note, which is in this case a G. Same thing applies. To get our D chord, we drop down 1 string. So our flat 7 note now appears on the 5th fret on the G string. To get our E chord, we move up 2 frets. So starting on the 2nd fret. So let's move that up to the 5th fret on the low E. That time 10th fret on the A string, move it down 1 string to get the D chord. 10th on the D string that time, that's where our flat 7th one, down 2 frets to get to the E chord. So there it was, 12th fret on the D string that time. Let's start this time on the 7th fret on the D string. Move down 1 string to get the D chord. Move down 2 frets from there to get the E chord. You can see those shapes change very slightly, fingering wise and fret wise, but once you internalize them, and if we do a song in a different key, I promise you those shapes are going to remain the same, but we just start on a different fret depending where we need. We'll mix them together a bit here now. We'll mix the flat 3rd and the flat 7. That gives us a really cool scale. So we'll move to the D chord, drop down 1 string. We'll move to the E chord, 2nd fret. Cool, we'll move down starting on the 5th fret, E string for our A chord this time. Drop down 1 string for the D. Move down 2 frets for the E. Let's start 7th fret on the D string. There was our A. Move down 1 string for the D. Down 2 frets for the E. Cool, move down to the 12th fret, start this time for her A. Drop down one string for the D. Down 2 frets for the E. And we'll do the A, starting here 14th on the G as well. I think we've kind of covered everything here. No wait, we've got one more. We have an open E string here as well that we can utilise. The key of A for country players is pretty good because we've got this lower string to deal with as well. We don't always just have to start on that A. We can do stuff with this low string as well. We can actually play our E shape there as well. So it's actually identical to the A shape, but one string higher this time. It's an E because we're starting on our E string, E root note. I'm pretty sure this video is going to be long enough with all that there. So in the next part, we'll talk about putting them into context. So if you've watched the start of this video, I did a kind of example solo. I tried to stick to using these shapes as much as I possibly could. I probably added in a few extra little things as well, which we'll talk about. But for now, if you want to go and learn all of these shapes, and when you're learning them, see how they connect to each other as well. There's a lot of notes that will be in all 3 chords. So there's our A pentatonic, for instance. If we play our D, in both shapes, the E and the F sharp notes appear. So when we get into it in the next video, you'll see how we can use that to our advantage. We don't actually have to think too far away from each shape. They're all pretty much connected, and it makes it really easy to kind of form a smooth flowing solo, which is, well, what we want to do really at the end of the day. Rewind, use this video as much as you need to, slow it down, check out the tabs that should be underneath each little scale shape. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, pop them into the comment section below and I will do my best to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.